Hello everyone, welcome back. So I have been creating videos on WebdriverIO, but that is with TypeScript and Cucumber BDD framework. There are many people who is trying to learn WebDriver, who is new to WebdriverIO and trying to do the setups. Where I have seen most of the people are starting to learn with WebdriverIO, Mocha framework, and JavaScript. And as there is a change in now WebdriverIO from in version 7 from sync mode is going to be deprecated, the all these new latest dependency whatever we have configurations are in async mode, and that is where people are getting stuck. So I thought I'll create a very a quick video where we will see how to create a basic framework in WebdriverIO using JavaScript and Mocha framework. So what we'll do the very basic setup, and then we'll see if we are able to execute the test case, and we'll write one sample test again with that, and then see that if it is working fine or not. So it will be like a basic crash course for WebdriverIO with JavaScript and Mocha framework. So let's get started. So I've opened my Visual Studio Code and it's all empty, nothing is here. So if you have any projects you can close it and then you'll have this blank project. So let me just add new project here. So I'll say open folder. Now this is going to open. What I'll do, I'll just select folder wherever I want to create. So what I'll do, I'll create a new folder here. Let me just create, and I'll say WebdriverIO, and then it will be Mocha framework and JavaScript. So I'll say JS. Just a meaningful name, WebdriverIO, and then Mocha framework and JavaScript. So JS, and I'll select this folder. Now this folder will be mapped here. So as you see now, this folder name is coming here now. So it was not there. Now as soon as I have created and selected that, this folder name will be coming here. Now this is where we are going to create a framework, and then we need to start with. So first things we need to do is, first before starting anything, prerequisite is you need to have Node.js installed in your system and any code editor. Here I'm using Visual Studio Code, which is good with JavaScript or npm Node.js related projects. So make sure you have Node.js installed in your system. If you don't have, just go Google it, say Node.js download it, you'll get an exe file. It's a very simple installation. You just need to download and click run it, and then click next, and finish it. Installation will be done. There is no further setting required. So just download Node.js, and then after that you should have this Visual Studio or any code editor. Visual Studio is preferable because it is convenient to use with any Node.js related project. Now once you have that, first things what we will do, we need to initialize this project as a Node.js project or Node project. For that, let's open the terminal from here itself. I'll open. So I'll click on new terminal. Now I'll see this command line. You might see PowerShell or something else. If you see PowerShell, you can run all the commands which I'm going to show now in PowerShell as well. But if you want to run in command line CMD itself, all you have to do is Control Shift P in your keyboard. Again, Control Shift P, and then you just need to search here. I'll search with terminal. Something you will get like terminal select default profile. You might get later somewhere here, but you need to select here, select default terminal, select default profile, click on it, and then you will have multiple terminal options. So I am getting PowerShell, get bash, command prompt, and Windows PowerShell. So I'll select command prompt, and then you will have command prompt. Now what you can do, you can just close it again and then open new terminal, so that you will have command prompt open here. Okay, so I'll just kill one because there's two. Okay, now let's start. So what I'll do, I'll initialize this project as a Node.js project. For that, command is npm init, and then either you can say -y, and then if you select enter, right, by default whatever default selection will be taken in consideration, and it will create it will initialize a project. But I'll not do that. I'll just quickly say npm init, and then we'll select few options will come to initialize as an npm project. So I'll say npm init. Now for this command to run, you should have Node.js installed in your system. So I'll click enter. Let me maximize it here, it will look a bit clear. Yeah, so it is first question is asking package name. Now this package name you can give anything, but by default based on your whatever you have folder name, that name will be coming here in a small letter. I'll keep as it is. I'll select enter. Version is by default 10. I'll select enter. Description here you can say WebDriver, anything you can keep blank as well. WebdriverIO, then JavaScript Mocha framework. It's just a description of the framework. You can leave a blank if you want. Entry point index, you just need to skip it. You can click enter. Test command, you can leave it blank. So for now I'll leave it blank. And git repository, if you have initialized any repository created, you can add that. For now I'll leave it blank. Keywords, you can give anything. For now I'll leave that as well blank. Author name, I'll give my name. And then license is also empty, and then it is saying is this okay. Whatever we have selected configuration, these configurations are showing here, and this thing is this okay. I'll say yes. Once you create this, a file will be created here, package.json. If you notice, this package.json is created now, right? Now this package.json will contain all this node related, our project related, whatever we have done, the selections. Name we have selected, the version we have selected, we have given the description. Entry point is index.js. We don't use it basically. It asks for a test command. We gave nothing, so by default this came, and then author name and license by default. Once you initialize your node.js node project, package.json will be created. Once that is done, then you need to install WebdriverIO. First thing you need to do is that WebdriverIO CLI you need to download, command line interface of WebdriverIO. For that, command is it might not be visible here properly. What I'll do, I'll open another terminal. So let me open here, which will be more clear. And this is my project, same project which I have created from Node.js, and then I'll say command open. So now here we have a command prompt. Here it will be a bit clear, as it was not here. I'll close this. Make sure whatever terminal you're opening here also, it is the same thing. It's just for clarity here I'm typing it so that it will be little clear in the video. Make sure you're opening the terminal in the same project. So this is what project I have created, and there only I'm opening the terminal. If it is not, you need to just navigate to this folder. Now first thing is you need to download CLI, WDIO CLI. For that you need to say npm install, or I can say npm I as well. It does the same thing, npm install or npm I, and then wdio/CLI. I'll leave all these commands in the video description. You can get the help from there. So now I'll just say npm I and then wdio CLI. We are downloading the command line interface of WDIO WebdriverIO, which will help to execute further commands of WebdriverIO. So let's run this. Now this download is going to take a while, as it's for some minute it will take. So what I'll do, I'll skip the video until it is done, and then I'll come back again. Okay, so it looks like the installation is done. So if you just scroll up, this is what the command I have executed: npm install wdio CLI, and then all the installation dependency has been downloaded, required dependency. Now if you notice two new things here: package lock.json created and node modules folder is created. This holds all our dependency related information, but you don't have to go inside it for now. As a starter, it's good enough to just look into package.json. Now here you'll see one dependency which we have installed, that is executed, right? WDIO CLI command. The entry is added here, WDIO in dependency section. So this is a dependency required or package, and this is the version. So the latest version is 7.7.4. This is the latest one. Now once we have downloaded the CLI, the next command would be to start configuring WebdriverIO project with all the framework related information. For that, next command is npx wdio, sorry, not eda, wdio, and then config. This is the command which will start a helper, WebdriverIO helper, and after that it will start asking a few questions, and then based on that selections you will have all the setup done. So let's click enter. Okay, so now if you see here, WDIO configuration helper is started, and it will ask you a few questions. The first question is where you want to set up this framework. So I'll say you have multiple options. In your keyboard you can use arrow up and down key to move these options. So I'll just select for now on my local machine, and I'll click enter. In your keyboard you can click enter. Now the second question is the framework. We are going to use Mocha framework. If you want to use Cucumber or Jasmine, you can select. With the help of again keyword arrow up and down key, you can select whichever is required and then hit enter. I'm selecting Mocha and then I'm clicking enter. It is asking if you need any compiler. So I'll select Babel compiler. It helps for import related information. So I'll select Babel. See, you can select no as well, but I'm going with Babel now. So I'll select the Babel and I'll click enter again. It is asking where your test specs should be located. Basically it is asking your folder structure, in which folder your test should be located. It says that under test, under specs, and any file with JS. I'll select yes, this is good. Now it is asking whether you want to generate some test files automatically. I'll say yes, because yeah, I just want to have few tests automatically generated so that I can just check that. I'll say yes. And then it is asking you want to use page object or not. I'll say yes, I want to use page object. It is asking the folder path of page object where your page element should be stored. So it is under test and page objects. I'll say yes. And it is asking a report. So I'll select one spec reporter and one more earlier, which is very commonly used. So I'll select both of this and I'll click. So this is a multi-select option. So whatever you need, you can just use arrow up and down. So it will be moving here if you notice. And whichever option you want to select, press space key in your keyboard. If you select one time, it will select a star will come here. If you notice init, if I again press, it will uncheck it, right? So I have selected earlier, I'm selecting, and here spec. So both report I am selecting, and after that, once your selection is done, click enter. It is asking which service you want to run. Normally, if you want to run your test in multiple browsers, Selenium stand alone will make your life much easier. But for now, I'm going with Chrome driver because I want to execute only in the Chrome. But if you have a plan to run your test in multiple browser, select this standalone. I'll go with Chrome driver. It is asking the base URL which you are going to test. So if you have any specific your application URL which you are going to work, you can give that. For now, I'm not giving any specifics, so I'll leave it as it is, and I'll click enter. Now, all based on this selection, whatever we have done, we have selected local machine, Mocha framework, Babel compiler, the spec folders and all. It will download few required dependency if you see here. So these all dependency will be start downloading, and whatever we have. So as of now, if you see here dependency, we have WDIO CLI. Once this installation is done, you will see few more dependency and dev dependency will be added inside this. That we'll see. So what I'll do, as it is going to take a while, I'll just pause the video and I'll come back once installation is completed. So yeah, so looks like installation is completed, and if you see here, it says that package installed successfully, creating configuration file, and it created this configuration file as well. So configuration file created successfully, and it gives you a command also to run your test. Execute this command. I'll just copy this for now. So I'll just copy it. Now this command will be useful. So I'll explain it about this command, but just notice here in package.json we had only WDIO CLI. Now these many dependencies are downloaded. That means based on whatever we have selected here, all these required dependencies are downloaded, and Babel configuration is created because you have selected compiler as a Babel. Automatically it is created. We don't need to worry about this configuration. And then if you see, one test folder is created. We have selected few to generate few automated tests with page object model, right? Page object design pattern. So we have here one sample test already created, ready to execute. So if you notice here, this code is already created by default when you have installed, and then we have few page object models that also which is utilized in this our test, which they are importing. I'll explain in a while, but let's check whether this whatever we have done here now, this setup, basically it's ready to execute and ready to use. So let's just try that whether this whatever we have done, it's executing or not. So Webdriver is already given this command to run so I've copied it. Now all you need to do is just paste it here and run it. Let me just clear on the console first and then paste it. Now you can run this command every time whenever you need to run, or what you can do as a short key, you can just go to package.json file. Okay, not package lock, package.json. There is a section called script. Inside there is a test. Replace whatever you have here with command you have copied, which showed in the command line. I'll just paste it again. This is the same command, npx wdio run, and then your configuration file name. This is what was suggested here as well, right? So I have cleared the command, but this is what. So I've just replaced whatever was there. Now if you need to run this actual command, you just need to give this script name in your command line. So now instead of running this lengthy command, you can simply say npm test and it will start execution. So let's just quickly try and see if this is working fine or not. So it is invoking a browser here. If you see with the capabilities and Chrome options, it is trying to invoke a browser. A system is a bit slow, that is why it is taking time, but yeah, it should be quick only when your system is faster. So yeah, it is loading the URL. It is all by default generated tests. We have not done any, we have not written any test cases or any element locators. Whatever was generated with basic set of command, that is what base test we are generating, executing, sorry. We are executing those tests only and see if it will try to log in. So it should perform login and then it should pass. So entered username, password, and clicked on login button. It will validate the message and you're done. So you see, with this very few simplest steps, we are able to set up a framework, and then we are able to run successfully as well. So we have a sample test created while doing the installation. It asks for whether you want to create a sample test, and we have created, and that is working fine. So that means our framework is ready to use now, and we already have few basic tests. We can take the reference and start building our own. Now what I'll do, I'll create one simple test just to show you that we can execute, we can write, and we can use that as well. So let me take a simple example. I'll say new. Now what you do, all your tests you try to maintain in this spec section, and all your element locator related all the pages you can mention in page object folder. So I'll create here new file. Again, right click in this folder, new file, and I'll say let's say login itself, login dot, I'll say spec. Okay, spec is nothing but it's showing that this is a test, and then your extension JS. You can give this any name. You can give abcd, you can give login, you can give sample, any name it should be. I just try to follow that whatever test we are doing, based on that I give the file name. So login, and this is a test, so I'll say spec and then JS. This is your simple file. Now in a Mocha framework, everything will be inside a describe block. So describe is like, you can think as a class. If you compare with your Java, if you have learned Selenium WebDriver already, you can compare wherever you want to write multiple tests. You first create a class. Inside that you write your multiple tests. Here similarly in Mocha framework, you need to create a describe block. So in describe, you need to say describe, open and close round bracket. You need to define what you are going to test, which feature. I'll say login test, and then after that, outside of this single quote, comma, space. Now open and close again round bracket, and then arrow function, give one space, and then again curly open braces. This is how you should be doing. Describe, inside that open and close bracket, describe whatever you want to test, what is under test, and then this is the arrow function where open and close round bracket, then equal to and greater than is the arrow function, and then after that you need to give curly braces here, or flower brace, whatever you call it. I'll just keep my cursor here and I'll click enter. Now inside this we need to write actual test. Now inside again we need to create it block. So in it block also we'll create same way, open and close round bracket, then you need to define what test. So here I'll say should validate what to say, page title. Yeah, let's validate the title of the page. After a single quote, say comma space, again open and close bracket, arrow function, and then curly or flower brace, and then enter. So inside this describe block, we'll have multiple it blocks we can keep. So you can say, you should validate page title, you can say should validate page header. So similarly we can write multiple it blocks here, okay, in Mocha framework. Now for now we are going to use only one, so I'll delete one, and let's consider any application that we are going to test. Okay, so now we are, this WebdriverIO recent versions are drop the support of sync mode. So when I sync mode, earlier when a sync mode was supported, we still can use, but for now when you do the basic installation, it will be in async. So whenever you use async mode, you need to write here async in your it block first before this bracket. And now wherever you use WebdriverIO related command, yeah, then you need to use await here. As we are using async, you need to say await. Now WebdriverIO command. Now if you see any command here, it will not auto suggest you. Now if you want to have auto suggestions in your file, what you need to do is you need to create one file. Now let's check in the official documentation what it says about it. So we'll just look at the official documentation. Okay, so this is a official website of WebdriverIO. So let's get a help here, a little bit of help here itself, and then see. I'll just first change it to dark mode, as I like dark mode. Yeah, now what we need to do is that we will not get auto suggestion when you start working here, right? And it will be little difficult, to know all the commands. So what I do here, it is in official documentation itself, they have mentioned everything, how you can get the auto suggestion. So if I'll go here on official website, and we have a search icon here, right? So let's click on the search icon and type here. So what I'll type here, auto completion. You'll get some suggestion here, auto completion in IntelliJ and Visual Studio Code. As I'm working with Visual Studio Code, I'll select this one. Now what it is saying, okay, sorry, I scroll down a bit here. If you use vanilla JavaScript, you want to have proper type support to synchronous command, you have to create a Jsconfig.json file. It says you need to create Jsconfig in your project root and refer used wdio packet. For example, this is the example. So let's go back to our project, and in root project folder here, inside this root project, right click, new file, and I have copied the name already from website. So I'll select here, I'll just say, I'll click enter. Now this is Jsconfig.json, and make sure it is in root project. Okay, so if you see here, this file is inside, it's not inside the test or node modules, it is outside. So it is in the root project folder, Jsconfig.json. okay, now let's go back to website, and it says that you need to mention these things in your JS. Whenever you are using Mocha framework, you need to use this command, and whenever you are using Cucumber, you need to use from here, you need to click here. But let's copy this one, we are using Mocha, so we'll use this copy. Now let's go back to our code and paste it here. One thing you need to change here is async, because it's async mode we are using. Just it will be sync, so just add here a here, s should be async. Also we'll do some assertion. For that you'll not get auto suggestion, so we'll add one more command here, that will be it is expect related. So let me just quickly search from the documentation, and this is the line that you need to add in your Jsconfig. Now add these details, and now it will give you auto suggestions in your Visual Studio Code whenever you are typing WebdriverIO command. So what I'll do first, I'll close this file again and then reopen. Now let's reopen again this file, and now let's just type it first. Await, anyway it was suggesting. After that, when you type browser, see, it should give you auto suggestion. Just type it here, see, browser, and it is coming from WebdriverIO.browser. So auto suggestion is working now. So just say browser dot URL to open any website, and then inside a function you need to give the URL. Now what URL we'll have, we can just take from here one sample website. So we'll be going to test this sample application. So this is the URL. I've just copied this URL and I'll paste it here in double quote. So just inside double quote, paste it here. Make sure you're using await, otherwise it will not work properly. And here async. Now after that, once the URL is loaded, what I'll do, I'll just get this title and then validate. Now if you want to use any assertion, first say await. Now for assertion, we have added the IntelliSay auto suggestion. You need to say expect. See, it is suggesting you expect. Inside you just say browser dot get title, open and close bracket, to equal, and then equal to what? I'll say equal to the internet. So the internet, this should be the title of this, right? The internet. It's a very simple command. Now this should execute, but after that, let me try to perform login as well. So what I'll do, I'll just take the element locator for this and let me inspect it and capture the element locator. So for this we have an ID. Okay, now to capture, I'll say const user and equal to. Now to write a element locator in WebdriverIO, we need to say, if it's a single element, you need to say dollar, open and close bracket, in single or double quote, and you need to give your element locator. I'm using CSS locator because CSS locator, if you are using ID, you just need to say hash, that is ID, because we have ID for this element. You can write XPath as well, but yeah, you need to keep inside this single quote or double quote. Let's write for password as well, dollar in single or double quote inside you need to write, and then similarly we need to write for submit button as well, dollar. I'm preparing and I'll write element locators all at once. For password, we should have somewhere here inside this is the ID. So this also we have ID. It's a simple website. So let's say hash password, and then for button, submit button, we have type. Okay, we have type submit. So we can either let me just show you writing XPath for this and use XPath for this. So XPath should be nothing but / button. Okay, add the rate type button. No, it was not submit, it was submit, not button here. Yeah, this is the correct XPath. So this time I'll use XPath. Again, whatever we have written XPath, we'll just paste it here inside this. Now after submission, we'll get one success message. Let's just call, this is the username. Okay, let's first write the action for this. So what you need to do, now you need to enter the text inside this element. So first you need to say okay, let's start from here. Await, always keep await, add await, then you need to say user, that is this element, and then dot set value. Set value will set the value inside the text. So now see, it is auto suggesting. I'll click enter on my keyboard. Automatically one more await will be added. Now inside that set value, you need to pass your value whatever we have. Now what username I want to pass? This is the username, so I'll pass this. Similarly, I need to write for password as well. Let's not write like this, just add one await, use this element password, and I'll say dot set value. Set value is auto suggesting, and click enter. Automatically one more await will be added. Inside that single or double quote, you need to add your string or your value, whatever you have. So I'm just passing the after that we need to click enter. For enter element locator, we have already this submit button dot click. Automatically this will be one more await will be added here. Now this will set the value, username, this will set the password, and this will click on submit button. And after that, let's validate after entering if this some text is coming or not, and that will validate that as well. So let's just write code for that. Okay, it says invalid, so we might have entered something invalid. We'll only just test for valid scenario. I want a element locator for valid password. Okay, so this message will get. Let's write element locator for this as well. So for this we have id called flash id. So now I'll capture here itself. I'll say flash. Now again dollar start open and close bracket inside single or double quote. Now if it is id, I'll say hash and that id value. Now what we will say, now here we will do assertion that once you enter username, password and click on submit, whether we are getting this text or not. That is this text. Now it is not exactly complete text, there are some extra spaces, so I will not say equal but I'll say include. So let's say, now let's assert. I'll say, I'll add await here, expect, and I'll say now element is nothing but this flash, so I'll say flash now say to have text, and we have option called containing, and inside that whatever your expected text as a string I'll pass it. Now see one thing, we are not saying that flash dot get text. Normally what you do, right, when you assert you need to say that web element and web element dot get text, and then you select get text, and after that colon, and after that you validate. But in WebdriverIO, this, if you use WebdriverIO assertion, we have this assertion where which called to have text itself, where it will validate this element is having this text or not, and if you select containing, whether this element contains this text or not, that we are going to validate. And we have written one sample test, and it should be, it should execute properly. Now let me just validate whether this title is correct or not. Assertion inside header we have somewhere we should have a title. I'll just copy that as well. Where is that? Yeah, this is the title. Okay, spelling is same, correct only, I think, just to make sure it works fine. Yeah, so now we have our sample test ready. Now just make sure, again, just a quick recap. In it block you need to add async mode in every it block. Wherever you are using browser WebdriverIO related command, you are using URL, you need to add await here. We are using get title, for that you need to use await here. Okay, wherever you are using assertion, you just need to add await. Right, now instead of doing this much, there is another way also here. For other assertion, you can say simply expect browser, and you don't have to say get title. You simply choose, you can say to have title, there is a assertion, and then you can simply give the title. So either way you can do, either you can get a title and then use to equal with this, or you can simply say browser and you can say to have title, and that will still work. But let's go with the first one only. Either way it will work. Then we have captured all the element locators, whatever we require to perform login and validate. Then using that element locators, we are setting the value username, setting the value password, and then clicking. Now you see there is two await we are using here. First await, this await is for, see, all these are locators are nothing but web element. So for each web element we need to use one await, and then there is one more command here, set value or click. This is another WebdriverIO command. So for each WebdriverIO command we need to use await. So first await is for this user web element, another await is for set value, as similarly for this as well. And here this first is await for submit button, another await is for click. Right, so similarly we'll be, we should use it. Now let's just try to run this and see if it is working fine or not. Now what we have seen in this a while ago, that if you want to execute, you just need to say npm test. Now if you say npm test, it will run this to both files, because inside a spec we have two files, example e2 and login.json, where this is defined in wdio config file. So if you quickly open this configuration file, and there is something called spec section. In this spec section it defines which files to run. So it is saying under test under specs, that is under test under specs, any folder, any file with .js extension. Now with .js extension inside the specs we have two files, so it will execute two files. So either I can just, instead of saying any file, I can say login.js, and when I run our now if I run my command here npm test, it will execute only this file. Or other way is you don't need to change it here, you can pass from your command line itself the specific file. First let me clear whatever we have written. Now first npm test you need to say, and after that hyphen hyphen, again hyphen hyphen, and spec you need to say spec, and then your folder. So first folder is inside your root you have test, inside that you have a spec, so you need to say dot slash test slash specs, that is this folder, and then after that slash file name. Now which file I want to run? I want to run this login.spec.js file, so I'll say login.spec.js, and it should execute only this file. Now so we are saying that run this command, actual command which is in package.json, and then target only this specific file. So when I say spec here, we are defining only a specific file, and that we are saying go to test, inside that we have a specs folder, inside that we have this file, run this file only. Let's try to execute and see how it goes. So now if you notice here it says execution of one file, so instead of now taking two, it is taking only one file. Yeah, so it started the execution and it's opening the page and something has failed. So it says that expected something. Okay, we have expected this but received this, so it did not work somehow. What it is saying, whatever we have expected, it did not come here, it did not assert. So I think because we need to use one more await here, there is some issue here. What we'll do, we'll move this await from this place to this place and say space, so that it will wait for this title and then it will go to the next line. So with this change, let's rerun again. Okay, so it's loading, the URL is loaded and it's entering the username, entering the password, clicking on login button. So it clicked on login button and it will wait for that success message to be displayed. Yeah, so this worked. So now if you see, we have successfully created one sample test and it is also working fine. Issue was that we have added await here assertion outside, so what it was doing, it was not waiting for this title to be equal, it was just validating equal to. So yeah, we all are new to this async and await, so we'll get used to it, but understand that wherever we are using here WebdriverIO related commands, which is get title, we need to use await here. So that is where it was failing. So now with this we are able to create a framework from scratch with using JavaScript and Mocha framework. We have seen a sample test where we have we are able to perform login, we have written some locators, we have used some simple setup command using set value, and then we have performed click, we have validated the title of the page, and we have validated the success message as well. So yeah, so this is good to start with, and from there on top of it you will be you can implement your own test cases as per your application. You can move all these pages to separate page class, and then you can call that, instead of writing all this element locator here, you can take the reference of how this another element locators have already by default generated. You can always take this reference and then you can start building your own page objects. So yeah, with this we'll wind up this video, and I'll try to make few more videos on Mocha framework where we will see that how to use page object model. But first I'll try to complete my Cucumber related playlist. Once that is done, then I'll focus on Mocha with JavaScript. For now, that's all. Thank you.